Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. And today I'm here with the one and only Lena Thompson. How are you doing, Lena?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Really good. Thank you very much. So now we are in a period while we are recording this episode here in lockdown. So before we start and start this interview, what I would love to talk about, what I would love to ask you is, what is a lesson or something that you got that you're learning from this period of lockdown?
Okay. Well, I actually think that there are two probably things I've learned. One is patience, and it's patience in terms of working from home and trying to run two businesses with my kids being around all the time. So you kind of learn compassion and understanding and patience, even though sometimes you kind of want to throw your toys there. And another thing I've learned is to stay open to opportunities, because even though some things kind of stopped working for me, so one of my businesses, I had to furlough my employees, there are new opportunities that came my way. And by staying open to them and also taking this time to reflect and to kind of connect with your inner self, you're getting exposed to new things which you would not have otherwise, because you just wouldn't
Yeah.
have time for them.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk about self-awareness. In fact, that's so. I think is a great start of that conversation. Before we go into like a journey of self-awareness, uh, w- tell us a bit more about the businesses that you run.
So I've got two businesses I run. One is a franchise, and it provides companionship and transport services for people who can't get out and about. We work a lot with care home, nursing homes, but we also do work with children. We take them to schools, after school clubs. You know, the other day we actually took our clients to a wedding in Manchester, and just for a couple of days we left them and picked them up. So it's this kind of like one-on-one personalized service.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously this business is now on a bit of a pause because nobody feels like getting out and about nowadays.
Yeah.
Um, and my other business, that was much more kind of passion and inspiration driven, because for the last year and a half, I've really been interested in energy healing, and also together with social media marketing, something I'm passionate about. I came across the company who manufacture energy wearable products, and these products that naturally raise our body's frequency and energy and optimize health and promote self-healing.
Hmm. And so, why did you? What was your passion? Like, why did you start in particular? Let's talk about the first business. The which what's it called again?
Driving Miss Daisy, just like a
Driving with
movie.
Daisy. Driving with Daisy. So, what made you start driving with Daisy in the first place?
Um, when I first when I first thought about, just making a slight difference to someone else's life, I wasn't really sure how or why I wanted to do it. So I started looking maybe at the charity and just to help people out. But I did have a full-time contract. I was an IT contractor in London, and I just physically didn't have enough time about it. And mentally in my head, I was actually creating my own charity, and I named
Mm.
the charity Driving Miss Daisy. So a couple of months went by, and I've reached out to Age UK, and I said, do you guys know of any centers or anywhere where I can go? So I don't do it full time, but maybe just part time. I can help whenever I can, even just to go and
Yeah.
read a book to someone. And they said to me, well, why don't you have a look at this company? It's not a charity, but it's a business, and they're called Driving Miss Daisy. And I mean, I'm a firm believer in law of attraction. And I was like, well, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So I've contacted the franchise, and there was a nearest branch near me here, like about 10 miles down the road. They came around, and, they introduced themselves, they spoke about the company, the difference they're making to people's lives. And I thought, right, I'm in. Not sure, no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm in. So that's how that started.
And so we're talking about self-awareness. In how does someone develop self-awareness? And how does someone develop this knowledge in themselves? Because I was listening to your story right now, the way you got connected immediately to this franchise, and you said, okay, yes, I know this is what I'm going to do. And that requires a lot of self-awareness to be able to understand and feel immediately, okay, this is the right opportunity for me. That's the thing that I know I want to do. Were you always this way? Were you always aware about the things that you wanted, the things that were right for you, or did you develop it over time?
No, I think, I've always kind of followed the advice and the guidance and what's best for me from everybody else. And I always tried listening to other people's opinions, just trying to not to upset anyone. And it's just, I think I went through a phase where it got a bit too much for me. I was feeling probably not depressed, but I was, I felt like I wasn't really living my life.
Yeah.
I didn't know even what word purpose or passion were. That was not part of my vocabulary. I didn't know. All I knew that it just something did not fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I used to drive for many, many hours a day to my job at the time in Northampton. And someone recommended to me to listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza. I dismissed it because, I thought it was just another health book, but the Radio 1 tunes were really getting on my nerves that day. No offense to Radio 1, but it was just the same thing over and over. And I remember the time when actually I put that interview with Dr. Joe on, and I was hooked. And I did the whole thing about the self-healing and the power of the mind, what is possible to do. And I've always felt that that was my inclination, but I never really had time to pursue it, or maybe desire or circumstances, whatever. And then I got hooked into it. So I've listened to one story after another, or his interviews. I read all his books. And that's when I started trying to do meditation. And I think slowly things have started shifting. My perception of reality, my world and how I was living, what I was doing, the impact I was making, everything just slowly kind of started changing from then on.
If someone they want to start this journey of self-discovery, of self-awareness, what would you suggest them? What would be the first starting point?
Well, I mean, starting point is different for many. I think it's just basically finding somebody who resonates with you, because there's so many amazing speakers out there, and this, personal self-development. But there's going to be somebody who really grabs you, you think, right, this is the person that I resonate.
Yeah.
I actually feel everything that he tells me. I feel it with every fiber of my body. And I think that's the person. Then you should really, commit yourself to, like, read a book, the podcast, whatever really, that they have out there on social media. There's so much information. And another thing is persistence, It's like going to the gym and getting toned and losing weight. You don't just go once, you're like, oh, you know what, I went for a workout, I still got a belly hanging there. You carry on. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it can be a very lonely journey, because, your family, your friends that sometimes don't get you, they have no idea where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get it burning in your guts and your hearts, you just follow it, just follow through.
How did you went through this transition on your own? Because you mentioned that can be a lonely journey when you have maybe people that are around you, they don't really get what you're doing. I remember when I went back to Italy and I said to my friends that I was a life coach, basically they said, so basically you're scamming people and so they can give you money. I'm like, well, that's not exactly like that. That was the perception that they had. Or when I was going back to Italy and talking about meditation, or even my background was in the catering field. So with all my friends, they were waiters or they were chefs. Talking about personal development and growth is not a conversation that you have with restaurant colleagues. You're talking about cars, you're talking about women, you're talking about all the stuff, not about personal growth and not about meditation, not about changing the world. Not all that stuff happens in this conversation.
Right.
So I literally had to almost like start anew, like leave that word behind and create a new community. So how did you leave this process for you in your case?
It was, I didn't really leave it completely, but it was a very gradual transformation. I remember it was November 2018, and I went to the 7 days advanced workshop with Dr. Joe in Brighton. And I think the hardest thing in my whole life was going back home after that. And, just trying to adjust to reality, because there you were like he called it like a monastery in a bubble, with the people that are self-aware, that want the same thing you want. You felt the energy I mean, we blew fuses in the hotel with the meditation, with the level of energy. And then you go home and everything feels flat and depleted, and you just can't connect with anyone. But what I've decided to do even more then is just to increase my meditation. Then my intensity increased. I actually understood what it was like to meditate. It wasn't just to sit in a chair and close your eyes and swear at yourself every time that your mind went wandering off, or just get frustrated and half the way through you go make a cup of coffee and say, I'll never get it. So I think it just was once again, just persistence. And it was a very gradual process, when I was able then to finally say, I'm not going to my work anymore. I know it's paying the bills. I know it's doing this, but I need to follow my passion. And it caused a lot of friction in many areas of my life, and a lot of things have changed in my life. But I know I'm on my true path now. No doubt about that.
How did you find that strength to change those things in your life? Because that's one of the reasons why either people will not start businesses, or they will not start, practices that they want to. How did you manage to have to make those changes?
I think I've always been kind of driven, I guess, and I've always made decisions very fast. It's even before, I kind of got involved with this whole spiritual aspect of things. But I know when I decided to do something and I put my mind to it, I will just do it. Sometimes I would be swayed by others' opinions, but this time I had that inner strength that's been literally just growing within me. One of the things that really helped me was the specific meditation called Blessing of Energy Centers, where you work through all your energy centers. And I remember specifically focusing on my throat so that I can speak my truth easier. Because I've always been, I could never express my emotions or my feelings. And even that for me now is still a very big challenge. I stumble over words or retreat. And especially if somebody, pushes me or gets a little bit kind of aggressive with a speech, I back down. I can't stay my grounds. So that's where I spend a lot of time working on my throat, on that specific energy sense. And I think that must have helped a lot.
This is an incredible piece of advice for everyone, because I think the bigger you make it, like the longer you wait for things that they are important for you, then the bigger it becomes. The longer you think about it, the bigger it becomes. And sometimes, you can catch it early and do something about it. And I think sometimes the fear is that, but how will people react if I don't if I tell them that I'm different? How will people see me in a different way? Will I still have the same relationships that I have? Will I still have the same friends that I have? And these were all the things that also were going through my mind when I started. But I realized that the longer I was dwelling in those thoughts, actually the worse it was becoming, because I felt that I was losing patience with them. So I was ruining the relationship with them anyway, pretending to be someone that I was not. And now I would blame them and put it on them. Well, actually, it was me. It was me that started being frustrated because I wasn't saying what I was thinking, or I was making decisions, and I would then blame them for who they were, not for the decision that I haven't made. The people are there. They can do whatever they want. They can think whatever they want. But it is up to me. So that's a big thing that anyone can do right now. So you mentioned one practice, which is the blessing of the energy centers. Is there any other meditation or practice that you would recommend for someone that want to connect deeper with themselves, that you found really useful and beneficial for you?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of Dr. Joe meditation. So pretty much, any meditation of his is incredible. I think the space-time meditation, where you kind of go into the void and you take attention off your body. So you kind of create a divergent attention. And once you put your attention on the space around you, on this darkness around you, there's nothing there. There's just a void. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. You literally just blend in with the higher power, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And obviously for me, the trick is to stay in that void, because, what am I going to cook for dinner? Or the kids, I need, so your mind does start to go back, and that's fine. You just, before, I remember I used to get so upset. I'm like, I just spent an hour and a half and I still can't calm my mind down. It's like a wild horse going on its own. but I've let go of it. And now if my mind wanders, I can still see and feel the benefits I'm getting out of it. So I'm not so hard on myself, really. But yeah, I mean, any meditation, what I do recommend, if nobody's ever done that and they want to get into it, is just to get, a book or two of his where he actually talks and explains about the energy centers, so about different meditations. I think it would be really, really useful. And they're fantastic to listen. He's a great speaker on Audible. You can even get that.
So these are some great resources that someone can use. I remember when I started even my journey, one of the things that got me into coaching, I think that was the moment I realized that's what I wanted to do, is when I watched a video from Bruce Lipton, which
Yes,
called the Biology of Beliefs. That's
yes.
another incredible. If you haven't read that book or watched that talk, I remember still it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, because I used to finish work around 1 a.m. So by the time I used to get home was about like 1:30 or 1:45, and then I will stay awake up until like 4 in the morning. By the time the adrenaline goes down and I relax at home, and that's where I was watching videos, watching documentaries, learning all the things that I was interested in at the time. That's the window that I had, like from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning. And I remember watching this video of the biology of beliefs, and suddenly like something happened with my body. Like I was shaking. I was shaking. I could. It was almost like something awakened in me. Something got unlocked, and I remember I couldn't fall asleep. My energy was reached a level that I never experienced before. And I knew, when you mentioned, I knew that what he was saying, it was true to me. I knew what he
Right.
was saying, it was the right thing. And that's what got me certain that this was the path. So
Yes.
talking about self-awareness, um, which is the question I want to ask you, is how do you understand? Because sometimes, when you're understanding your feelings in your body, and you're following your intuition, you can feel conflicting things. Sometimes you find something that is protecting you, and sometimes you might experience something that says certain, this is where your next step is. Like you had your experience or I had mine. How do you distinguish the two feelings between something that actually, to know, I don't know if it's even possible to know 100% which one is right, but is there any particular process that you use or any particular way that you experience it?
No, I mean, sometimes I have no idea what's right, what's not right. I mean, like if let's say I've got involved now with this new opportunity and I wasn't really sure it's the right thing for me. So sometimes I'll just what actually this exercise, what I'm doing now, it's a Neville Goddard. I'll retract a little bit. So Neville Goddard is, I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
Um, he's got a book, Infinite Potential. He was like a mystic spiritualist, lived early 19th century, and his whole kind of concept is the only reality is our consciousness. Consciousness is the only true reality, and how by using your imagination you can create your reality. And it's absolutely, it just blew my mind. It's a second book now by him I'm listening, and I just cannot get enough. I even got my son into it. He's only 13, poor kid. So every night what I do is before I go, I fall asleep, I'll close my eyes um, and I think, first of all, what I want. It can be anything, something big or something small, but what I want. And then I will think of events which will represent that this thing I want has already happened, and how would I feel about it? It's all about the feeling rather than seeing it. How will I feel? And I kind of create that scenario where event has already happened, and I imagine myself feeling grateful or happy or whatever it is. And then I fall asleep. And my kids have been doing it, and they've had some amazing results. I think maybe the results because they want like cookies or biscuits, and they can't find it in the shops anymore. So they're manifesting things left, right, and center. So for me, how the creative visualization really works, and sometimes I know whether or not something right or wrong for me because it'll
Wow.
just in my head. Sometimes I don't, and I make mistakes, but more often now, I think the more practice, the more natural it's becoming.
That's such a great piece of advice. Such a great piece of advice. I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna
I
give it a
try,
go. I'm gonna try,
try,
because
but
I generally do that. So when I do my morning practice, I generally do that in the morning, but not doing it in the evening. So I'll
because he says the whole, because our subconscious mind, and we relax a lot when we sleep, and that's the best time for the manifestation for things like that to happen. That's like he
Makes
always
sense.
advises just before you go to sleep, you do that. Just keep yourself awake for a few minutes.
That's
So,
there's been like this interview with you has been incredible. I mean, there is so much that we can take away from different meditation practices to things that we can do to get to know ourselves more. If someone wants to reach out to you, if someone wants to get in touch and connect with you because they want to know more about the work that you do, your businesses, what's the best place?
well, I'm on Facebook. On a Facebook, I've got another company that I've mentioned. It's a energy wearable products to do with healing, any kind of well-being. So that's called Nature's Frequencies UK, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. Or Driving Miss Daisy Working is also my other Facebook page. So
That's
yeah.
perfect. So the links are going to be in the show notes where you can join. I think you have also a Facebook group, if I remember well.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the name of the group?
That was for people who want to lose weight and detox naturally, called Weight Loss with Burn. Burn is one of our energy patches we use for detoxification.
Brilliant. So we'll put all the links here in the show notes. Make sure you connect with Lena. She is absolutely incredible. And if you have this shared passion of spirituality, meditation, you want to get to know yourself better, and in particular, you know how energies are impacting your body, are impacting your consciousness, and you want to protect yourself from energies that can be around you that will not maybe interact in the best way with your body, then make sure you get in touch because she has some incredible products. All the links are going to be in the show notes. So scroll down, connect with Lena. And Lena, thank you very much for being
Thanks,
for
Simone.
being a guest today. It's been an incredible interview.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That's my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching or listening, wherever you are. There is one big favor I'm going to ask you. If you enjoyed this show, you enjoyed this interview, you know, we put a lot of work, the guests put a lot of work in. The one thing you can do for me and you can do for us is to leave us a review. Let us know, what did you enjoy the most about this episode? What is something specific that you learned that you're going to implement? Let me know, leave a review, because that also is going to help the growth of the show, going to help the expansion of the podcast. So thanks again. Have a fantastic day or a fantastic evening or a fantastic night. Have a fantastic morning, depending on where you're listening or watching this. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. And always remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.